Hi, I'm Ellie from crystallinks.com. It's Wednesday, January 25th, 2017. Just a few days ago, Donald Trump became president of the United States. And, come on, there are jokes, there are comments, there are criticisms, and more than all of that, there are diversions. Um, all of this nonsense about Trump and how many people attended the inaugural, how many people this, how many people that, yours is bigger than mine is this, all this. It makes no sense to me. I mean, it's in the crazy world we live in, and all the things that he said he wanted to handle. I don't know why he's not only harping on that, but he's also harping on something wrong with the election, and there was voter fraud. This is so not important. It's a diversion. Everything about Trump seems orchestrated, otherwise, how did he become president? And it's a diversion. I don't see this as done by Putin or another government or a group of cabal interests. I really feel it's done by something more greater. I'm not going to go aliens, but I believe we live in a holographic simulation. So I would say it's a simulation itself that is setting him into place. And, they're doing it because there's a purpose to it. And yet this man just goes stumbling over his own 2 feet and just saying and doing the wrong things and having people around him do the wrong things. And everything about this, from his cabinet to everything, it's just makes no sense. I mean, we try very nice to be polite, some of us do, and say, we'll give him a chance, let's give the man a chance. But it, the election is over and the ridiculousness continues. The day after Election Day was that million-person march around the world, including Antarctica, which is very fascinating, as people band together. It was mostly women. It was somewhat of a woman's march, which spoke to me of, oh God, blogs that I wrote years ago about the emergence at the end of the sacred feminine and women coming out, which has nothing to do with bashing men. It's just that women are a suppressed minority in many countries and somewhat here in the United States. So I don't know, I thought about the sacred feminine, and I thought about, all kinds of things that I've blogged about and heard about through the years. And what seems the nicest of everything that went on, because there were mostly women, but there were a lot of men and there were a lot of children, is just fighting for humanity and freedom of the soul. We live right now in a world where there's so much oppression. And, if you live in the United States like me, there's a lot of good stuff going on. I can't complain. I have no complaints at all. But there are people around the world that are fighting for their freedom. And I've blogged about this for years with Africa and the Middle East. Of course, this has gone on and on and on. I mean, you name a country, and people are just fighting for freedom. And it's just what goes on, the way people live their lives. It's just terrible. I don't think that Donald Trump is in office to fix things, but I think he's going to try. Like any other president, Obama came in and he did his best, okay? Each president thinks they're doing their best. Then they leave a little letter for the next president, probably saying, good luck, sucker, you're going to need it. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into, because there's a lot of things behind the scenes. And each president has found the truth behind the illusion. None of them have said anything about it. Why? Because we live in a reality that's based on fear, and we need to believe in mythologies and in invisible gods and all this stuff outside of ourselves that support, the idea that it's all going to turn around, it's all going to get better, everything is going to be wonderful and terrific and whatever. Till we hit the Trump, once we get to Trump now, we really start to worry. And that fear and that worry, in its own way, has a purpose, because it is bonding us, like these marches and protests. And believe me, they're not over. They may not be as big. Look, I remember the harmonic concordance and convergence and all that other stuff. Did it ever do anything? Not really. I mean, it bonded spiritual people together in a different way. It opened up doors for metaphysics. Okay, we're going to heal our issues. We're going to make everything better. We all know what that was about. It helped some people. It enlightened some people. It raised awareness. Now, we're past all of this metaphysical stuff, let's call it, where we can all meditate on things and pray things away and do this and this. We are over that. We're finished. We're rounding the bend, and we have to be very pragmatic and look at what's really going on in the real physical world. And what's going on, besides the president, is that since I did a last little video blog there, the earth changes are continuing to accelerate. The United States is having storms and floods and tornadoes and things that are like people just can't believe their homes are destroyed. I mean, Trump can't fix any of that. He can't stop it. Climate change, the changes they want to do with climate. It's a little bit too late, and it wouldn't have mattered because it's meant to happen now. Everything's meant to happen. The earthquakes, there were a few more in the high 7s, 8s since I last blogged. So we have to look at that and say, okay, that speaks certainly to the people in the Pacific Ring of Fire. What else has happened? It's just people in general are starting to think differently. They're starting to follow. You want to say the news is bad, the news is corrupt, and I like certain, I'm an NBC person. I like NBC, MSNBC, and I know some of you are thinking, oh, no, that's terrible. Let's go with the conspiracy people. Look, everybody's making a statement and a point, okay? With the Donald Trump, with this whole thing about media harassing him, he lied about a lot of things. Is there anyone who doesn't know that? Okay, Putin did, he did, all politicians lie, especially when they're candidates. We found lies from Hillary and from everyone else, okay? So he lied. So the press got on his case and pushed him, okay? So he pushed back and they pushed back. And now he has this whole disconnect from major media, though he knows he has to incorporate that into his daily routines. But there is a major disconnect. And I just sit back and I just look at it this way. If he were to go along with whatever the media allows, the government allows, the country allows, when push comes to shove, Trump is not going to stand up and tell us the truth about all the things we're waiting to hear. And it's not so much about aliens and about this, but it does incorporate the fact that whatever we believe reality is not so. Okay? That's not fake news, that's real news and real science and real physics. And when you look around at your life and other people's lives, you have to say, well, something is driving everything that's going on. And it's definitely not Putin and it's not Trump. Trump has a lot to learn in the months ahead about the real world and the way it works. And luckily, because he's old, he's actually younger than me. I'm turning 74. He's only 70. And I don't think he's got any mental, he's not mentally incapacitated. But he still looks at things the way little more senior way of looking at things, but he's got all these young people around, his children, their spouses, everyone who is young enough to tell him, hey, you know what? This is what the world is really about. It's you got to step up, you got to understand. I mean, there may come a time when mainstream news no longer exists and people just don't know what to believe at all. Does Facebook have fake news? Sure it does. Does everything have fake news? Absolutely. Do you or I, or should we believe in conspiracy theory? I have a feeling that Trump believes in some of the conspiracy theory because it's got to be nudging him inside, because eventually he's going to pass the conspiracy theories and bring the truth. And I know I say this a lot lately, but this is what I believe. This is my agenda for Trump coming into office and staying in office. By the way, people have asked me, I'm just going by different questions I've gotten, do I see him assassinated? No. I don't think he's assassinated. I think he's been put in place for a reason, and he's going to stay there. He's got a lot to learn, a lot to catch up on. Today he's talking about he wants to build his wall. With the building of the wall, go for it. He has to get over this whole thing with the media. But at the end of the day, whether it's his ego or he's supposed to battle media, he's not going to do it. And it's silly, and it is a diversion. I look at reality. Wait, there's something else. Kellyanne Conway, who works with Trump, as you know who she is, she coined a term called alternative news. And what she means by alternative news is basically falsehoods. You know, it's she even kind of sort of snickered a little when she said it because she knew she was saying something that was just silly. But when you look at it, and the way I blogged about it is, yes, alternative news is falsehoods, lies, untruths, exaggerations. But what about our reality? Isn't our reality alternative news? We are led to believe certain things have to be the way they are, that society has to work a certain way. Look at all the different types of cultures, and they are taught this is the way things work, maybe. Then we look at the way what we're taught in religion and in economies and political systems. I mean, we're taught, this is it, this is democracy, this is the best we're going to get. So let's just follow the dots, No, maybe that's not exactly true. Alternative news or fake or news to me is lying to the people about everything. And that's where I think Trump is going to step up. So it's been interesting. Is he going to build his wall? My take on his wall is, from what I've gathered, the information I've been told, is the real criminals are not cutting holes in walls and coming through. Those are families looking for freedom because they live in terrible, terrible circumstances, whether it's from South America, Central America. It's not just Mexico. It's much more than Mexico. These people just want to have a decent life. The criminals come through the tunnels and they go into Texas or wherever they wind up. It's the tunnels that have to be sealed, and I don't care if they just build the foundations for these walls, build them down, build them deep, make them strong so that the tunnels do not get rebuilt again. Who pays for this? I don't even think we'll be around long enough, because to build a wall the length of what Trump wants to do, oh my God, it could take two presidencies, maybe one to get things started. It's going to take a long time. Everything's going to take a long time. Trump has also talked about what he wants to do about Obamacare and getting rid of Obamacare, and you got to find the replacement before you get rid of Obamacare. There are different senators and other people from different states around the country who have come up with alternate suggestions, some throwing it a little more back to the states, some putting the federal government in charge. I have been watching this, and I'm 74, I'm going to be. I have been watching this since I was young. I mean, I looked at Canada and said, gee, they have great health care. I looked at other countries. They had great health care. We live in the United States, and we should have health care for all. And why don't we? And I have been looking at that through the Democratic presidencies and the Republicans, and back to the Democrats and back to the Republicans. No one's ever figured it out. No one. I mean, Obama gave it his choice, but of course everybody's going to be critical of everything. Okay, fine. You don't like this and that. There's a couple of really important issues with Obamacare, like pre-existing conditions and aged children can be covered, among other things. But let's first find something that maybe makes sense to people without the doctor saying no and the insurance companies going no freaking way, and everybody complaining this isn't covered, that isn't covered. My God, diversions and more diversions, but this is a diversion that needs to be done, and it needs to be done soon, because we live in a world where people are sick all the time. They're sick and they're wounded souls. They're wounded on the soul level, which goes to the mental level, which goes to the emotional level, which produces all the illnesses. I mean, people are burnt out, but we'll save that for another little video blog. That's very important. Jobs, let's see what Donald Trump does with it. I mean, I'm sitting kind of again on the sidelines, just watching people get all passionate about some of the ridiculous things that he is doing. And I'm like, well, I'm not here to make these changes. If I had a choice, if I could work as a cabinet member, I'd want it to be education because I've lived my life, as an educator. But I'm a little too old for that, and I don't think anyone's going to knock on my door. So you are going to go forward in this first 100 days of Trump's presidency, and you are going to see all kinds of things happen. Some you like, some you won't. Remember the word diversion or distraction, whichever works for you. Remember, reality is a simulation. It is all orchestrated. Big words, orchestrated and distraction. You can go look up anything you want, from conspiracy theories to anything that makes sense to you. Or you can just sit back and don't let it get to you. If you're a person who deals with a lot of panic and anxiety and everything just makes you like, oh my God, no, Donald Trump, no. Before he even became president, if you're reacting to him, your body is reacting to him violently, it's because your soul recognizes that he is a marker on the grid for end times. He is. He really, really is. Just like all the earth changes that are happening, there are markers that are happening now that go boing, okay? This is a marker for end times. There's going to be a lot. They're going to come hard. They're going to come fast. So your soul, in its own way, is going to react, not just intellectually when you say, okay, this is a marker in the grid, and as a result of that, let's see what happens. It's going to react not just emotionally, it's going to react intellectually and the soul level. It's all connected. It's like one big connection. And as you know, your alternate selves, okay, are having parallel experiences, and they are connecting as well. So everything is connected to everything else, just like that march that went on. That was really an amazing experience and union for souls, because at the end of the day, souls do reunite, whether they're in this dimension, another reality, an alternative reality with alternative news. It's whatever it is. So go forth and watch what's going on, but don't go crazy. Don't lose your cool. You can be as judgmental as you want. You can be whatever you want to be, but just try to find a balancing space, even as you just sit there now and this ends and you just close your eyes and you say, okay, I wish Ellie would play a little meditation music. I guess I could bring something up and maybe we'll just finish this off. I just have to go and see which one I have. But sure, why not? I'm not one who says meditation is the answer for everything, but I think I might have a little file I could find very easily. I'm not sure. I don't know. I didn't prepare for this. So I think maybe I don't see anything. All right, I'm going to close my eyes and I am going to play something called that I used to like to meditate to back in the day. I'll let it play out, and when it's done, I'll just click the off button. Or not. iTunes says play it. A favorite.